Hello, this is Slingshot Warrior coming to you with a new video. And today I want to talk about my bands because this is a response to Jack Striker's video about his slingshot. He made a pretty nice frame, a nice natural frame. Now he makes his bands in a different way. He makes them out of thick gum rubber, those kind of old post office bands. You know, those kind of, you can still buy them at office supply stores. Those thick gum rubber bands, and he cuts them, square bands. From what I can tell from my good friend in the slingshot community, Gary Flatband Miller, square bands are very popular in Europe, but they didn't catch on here in the States. Go figure. And one thing I was telling him, there's no such thing as, the perfect bands. I mean, only what's good for you, only what works for you. What works for me is basically these, These are cut from basically like what you call toning bands. These exercise bands, right? And my pouch is a little bit different because I haven't had much access to leather. Now he made his pouch with gardening glove. Now I make my pouches out of nylon straps, and I use like heavy duty like industrial thread to put them together with nylon paracord. The loops on the side substitute for make a great substitute for hole punches, and a lot of ways they're much better than hole punches. As you can see, I can feel my projectile in there because of the thick. You see how thick this is, right? It's thick enough, but it's not too thin. It's not too thin where it's going to fall apart. It's very durable of a pouch, and these ridges actually help keep the ammo in. It's very sleek, but it's also ridged. So it has that going for it. And the one thing I like about my band is that I can pull this back to beyond my chin, but I can pull it back to my chin like this, and it can zip. It can zip very well. It's got a zip to it. It's got a flexibility to it. It's got a speed to it. It hits hard. And these are what is known as heavy-duty green toning bands. You can buy these at Walmart, and you got to have a rotary cutter to cut them. Basically, rotary cutter is not a power tool. It's basically what slingshot users use. It's basically a mixture between a grid pad and a mixture between a pizza cutter and a box cutter. It's basically kind of a round box cutter almost. It's traditionally used to cut fabric into squares and stuff like that by sewing people. It's not a power tool. It's basically, they just call it a rotary cutter because it's like you're cutting, but it can cut slingshot bands very well. It's these very popular things it's used in the slingshot community. And that's how I cut my bands. As you can see, I can basically pull this back pretty bad. Now, that's my response to Jack Striker. I like what you do. I really do. It works for you. It works for you. I love it. I mean, I don't use gum rubber myself because it's not freely available here. I mean, it's hard to get. But, and you use what's available to you, And what's available to me is basically toning bands. And they work very well for me. I've worked very well with them. I like flat bands. They're very good. I can see they're very flexible, but very strong. And I basically attach my bands a little bit differently. As you can see, I use like nylon twine, and I just tie it and burn it at the ends, at the knots. I use basically what you call, what's it called? Because this is a scrapper, I have to use tabs. Basically this is a Spanish style attachment with my own twist on it. It works very well for me. This is my frame. This is the frame I keep around. This is designed to basically reduce hand slap. It gives you enough elevation between your hand. It reduces it. It doesn't stop it though. But at the same time, so this video, in conclusion, goes out to you, Jack. We all love our different types of bands and different ways of doing things. And there's no wrong way, no absolute wrong way of doing something. You know, it just depends on what's available to you, what's good for you. You know what I mean? What works for you? Yeah. What works for me is these very strong green toning bands cut with the rotary cutter. I get a lot of power from these. I really do. I get a lot of power, and I can draw it back to my cheek. I never liked the tubes. Tubes never really appealed to me. I'm a flat band guy. And that's the end of that. Jack, you got an awesome slingshot there. Awesome bands. Bye.